Welcome to the Podbean door.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is the Podbean door. You can join us every Tuesday for info and opinions on the newest tech, movies, games, and, of course, insider information, history, and maybe even some crazy secrets about our home, Las Vegas, Nevada. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. You can find us on iTunes Podcasts at the Podbean Door, or our YouTube channel is the Podbean Door Podcast, or find us on any of your favorite podcast apps. And hey, if you get a chance, subscribe to us. Give us a review on your favorite podcast platform. We do appreciate that a lot. Coming up on this episode, we have the 7 most famous crimes in Las Vegas history. Nevada and marijuana. Wonder Woman. The Nerdverse calls for a recasting. I'm going to get a lot of crap over that from Adam. And, of course, the Topless Report, Nerd Alert, Gear Grinders, and I guess a favorite, Area 52. For Adam, this is Jamie. Adam, how you doing, man?
Good. What's going on, everybody?
Hello to our producer, Sam, who's been sick of late. So get well soon, Sam. We're thinking about you. We want you back there on the table real soon.
Yep, I need my nerd partner back, Sam.
That's right.
These guys just don't get all the references.
That's that's right.
We're too old.
And back in our studio again is John Thorpe to add some wit and wisdom. Thanks for stopping by, John.
Well, thank you for having me.
A big thank you to our new listeners in Connecticut and Massachusetts. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate everybody doing that.
And we're spreading like a virus.
I know. If you
are we on all 50 states yet? What are we missing?
Midwest and Northern Territory, Montana. We need some Montana.
Okay.
So people in Connecticut call
got
your
friends in Montana?
relatives in Montana. That's right. But Midwest. But we're doing real well. We even,
we should have like a board. We can track this.
Yeah. And so far, our world exposure is Canada, UK, Mexico, Philippines,
And Ireland.
Yeah, in Ireland. So we appreciate everybody. We love to look at all of our analytics, and which I'd probably do too much, but it's really cool. And so hello to everybody listening. We hope you're enjoying it during drive time or whenever you're listening. Hey, and the comments that you guys send in and the suggestions, we love those. I got a couple more for you. Although this is a tragic screen name, Big Boy Pants 9, and that's pants with a Z. Commented, quote, "What are the strip clubs like in Las Vegas?" Close quote. Well,
Big boy pants.
They depending on where you're coming from. I'm not sure where you're from, big boy.
There are all kinds of levels.
Yeah, they're not a lot right now. We've had quite a few close.
Yeah, surprised.
When John and I were concierges in Las Vegas within the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They had some easier laws back then, right?
Yeah, some easier laws, but they built too big. They overexpanded, and they were banking on the convention crowd, and they should have known that the convention crowd, they spend their money to get here. And now everybody's turned into foodies, so they're waiting to eat at
spend their money on
Mario
food
Batali's
nowhere
place.
Else.
Yeah, they don't want to make
gamble. They don't tip.
No tips. Of course, the $15 Cokes at the strip clubs is not a great thing. But how are they?
Amen to that, I guess.
Yeah, right. How are they? Well, they're good. They're good. I mean, I used to be able to say I was at all of them.
You've seen the assortment of them.
I've seen the assortment.
Yeah.
I've been to some interesting places.
Life is like a box of strip clubs.
Hustler's still there.
It's still there?
Yeah.
With the 2-story pole?
Yeah, it's a clip joint, though. It's a 2-story pole, right?
Hustler, yeah, I've been to that one a few times.
It's not my favorite. My first one was Cheetah's.
Yeah.
First all nude was Little Darlings, which, of course, was just a juice bar. We talked about this with Carla.
Yeah.
Pardon me. And, oh gosh,
So your first one was after you were 21 then, if it was Cheetah's, right?
Oh yeah.
Was it?
No, not ever. first
What was your first club ever?
Oh gosh, the Alaskan Bush Company.
Oh man.
Yes.
I don't even know how to take that one.
And it was not in Alaska. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. And
Nice.
the next one was the Bourbon Street Circus. Although
it's still there.
Yeah,
that one in Phoenix. Yeah, it's still there.
But no, the Alaskan Bush Company. I not only was that the first one I went to, but it was the first time I ever saw novelty acts where the young ladies were able to retrieve items with parts of their anatomy.
I gotcha.
Yeah. But
talent.
Yeah, talent. But Las Vegas ones are pretty good actually, because all of the good talent from LA and anybody and all around Utah, Phoenix, they come here during the big times, during the big convention times, trying to score some big bucks. Those champagne room stuff. But again, we've talked about the no touching, and that's touching. A rule. So I would say they're pretty good.
I would say, yeah.
It's better than...
They draw some of the porn stars, too, that come out and do their things and have special days. And
Yeah. So, well, John, what was your first one? We can't spend too much time on this, but what was your first one?
Oh, well...
Strip club.
It was probably in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Mitchell Brothers.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah. Or
they
owned it. They owned
it.
The Mitchell Brothers produced porn movies like Behind the Green Door.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were big names. In fact, when we worked at the Venetian, we had a woman come work at the front desk, and I looked at her, and she just had stripper written all over her.
Really?
And I'm at the lunchroom up there. Remember they called it chow. I just call it choke. I mean,
because it was so good.
It was, it was
great.
really bad. And she's up there, and so where are you from? San Francisco. Oh yeah, so am I. Where did you work there? And she said, well, I used to work with Mitchell Brothers. I'm not surprised.
You're like, I know that one.
Yeah, I know that one. Yeah,
I knew it.
Yeah. So,
John,
but really, the ones that had the talent, like you were talking about, internationally, you have to go to Bangkok.
Oh yeah. And you've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times have you been there?
6.
6 times.
I think so. Yeah.
Well,
5, 6, something like that.
See, John is a wellspring of stories.
World traveler.
I think
but I should say that most of those trips were all within a pretty short period of time, because I was traveling a lot, and Bangkok was kind of the hub. So I would fly in, and then I'd fly out again. Then I'd fly back, and I'd go up north, and I'd go to south, and then I'd fly back into Bangkok and fly out again. So.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll have to dedicate an entire show to your travels. Yeah. All right, the next one, Marley. Okay, let me see if I can get this one. Marley Forever Man, I guess that's what it commented. Is weed legal in Las Vegas now? WTF? What the fuck?
Oh, is that like a Rastafarian man at the end
I
of
guess.
his name?
It should be an O.
Hey, man.
I don't know. Yeah. But hey, Marley Forever. I'll just go with that one. All right. I'm going to answer this succinctly.
I noticed you had some notes.
Yes.
Some actual factage there. So.
Right. And our friend, if she's listening, Cammie, she was also a concierge with us. She recently had a battle with this gentleman. He's a councilman in Las Vegas. His name is Steve Sisolak. He is not well liked, but he's juiced in, and they can't seem to get him out.
Sounds like all of Congress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he's a local council politician, and he is has his finger on the pulse of Las Vegas, and he was directly involved and wrote a very comprehensive article regarding marijuana. It is recently. What was it? It was May 26th of 2017, so very recently, and he cleared it all up. And for me too, because I didn't know some of these things. Is it legal? Yes, but it is absolutely still a federal crime, which is why the addendums that have been accepted by the state of Nevada that were enacted in November of 2016 have not been ratified or accepted yet by the state of Nevada House of Representatives and the all of the people involved. So right now, as we speak, medical marijuana has been approved and is legal, and there are approximately, 55 medical dispensaries in Nevada, all throughout, but mainly 80% of them are Las Vegas and Clark County. So recreational retail marijuana is not cleared yet. But it has been addressed, and will clear, but they say it will take well after November of this year to get it cleared.
Yeah, I heard 18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's in the works. Now, the other thing, it will never be ever on the Strip.
No.
It the dispensary. There are 12 now that have been approved. Everything is cleared for them. Dispensaries that are parallel to Las Vegas Boulevard, the Strip, but they have to be at least 3,000 square feet or 3,000 feet away. They cannot be near. I think I've mentioned this before: churches and schools and so on and so forth. But they are off the Strip.
Now that's just recreational use. So you're telling me that there's not going to be a marijuana bar in a casino on the Strip?
Absolutely not. Here for two reasons. It will always be a federal crime. They are not going to release that. The United States government is not going to say, "Okay, weed guys, it's okay." So that's why. And the reason why is the Nevada Gaming Commission, although they set their own terms and rules, follow federal guidelines as it regards gaming. And you can't even invest in gaming. I mean, in marijuana, if you want to keep your gaming license and or liquor license. So it's just not going to happen. So you're not going to see weed dispensaries in casinos.
So you're telling me there's not going to be a weed license for these casinos?
No.
Ever.
No, they're not even going to apply.
I don't think you're right on that.
No,
I think
it's not going to happen.
I think give it 10 to 20 years. All these.
If there's money to be made there, they'll change the laws because they're going to want to make money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's weed bars in Colorado right now. They have weed bar hops. They're gonna make money doing that.
Right, but Colorado has no gaming.
Well, sure, but the money,
there's money, and from what I understand, Nevada is going to.
They want that millennial crowd,
Yeah,
they want them in their bars.
Marijuana. The analytics and the metrics what the casino owners say is that marijuana won't even get near half of revenue for gaming. And so they're not going to risk it. But 20 years, who knows? I mean, maybe, but I sincerely doubt it.
We'll see.
Okay, let's see. I was looking at all my notes.
Comment, yeah.
All right.
Only a couple on there.
All right. So, but you mentioned Colorado. The article said that once the recreational stuff is cleared, they're going to track Colorado as far as what they do. So Colorado is a spearhead as it regards marijuana. But I don't know. What do you think, John? Do you think the states finally just gave up and said, "All right, let's let it happen and tax it and just deal with it"?
Well, it's hard to say because when I was younger, I couldn't imagine. I mean, we always thought, by the year 2000, it'll be legal. Since it's even become that kind of a cliche. Well, it was the 70s.
Right.
I saw a documentary, or it was a short clip about Doc Ellis when he dropped acid and pitched a no-hitter.
A no-hitter,
yeah. And he was there saying, and he kept saying, "Yeah, remember, it was the 70s." So back then, looking forward, we thought it would be legal. But we also know that I think democracy is really somewhat of a sham here because on the one hand, you have the power structure, the establishment. And they're fine with the idea of the will of the voter as long as it's in keeping with what they want. So they're really only interested in their own democracy. So if people had voted it down, they say, "See, people didn't want it. There you go." The fact that they passed it, it's just like, let's see if we can find some other loophole.
How do we make advantage of it?
Yeah, everything else is turn it over to the states. Let the states decide. But now, in this case, it's like, it's federal law now. Remember, it's still not legal.
Yeah, where do we cross the line?
Yes, yeah. So I think there's going to have to be that change. Now, the people who are in there now are old enough to have obviously lived in the 70s,
right?
But they weren't part of that subculture,
right?
But there's a lot of money to be made in it. So that's the one thing. And they start looking at it that way. And there are business people that do have power.
Right.
Say,
But why? Okay, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you look at the two arguments that say, "Oh, we're tired of the issue," although it's funny what they let happen. I mean, there's the whole gay marriage thing. They fight that tooth and nail.
Yeah.
And then marijuana. Oh, we're tired. Let's just. So there's that. And then making money. You both are absolutely right. And if there's money to be made, every dollar is going to be scraped up. However, why? Why do we as a society want it to be legal? Adam, why do we want that?
I don't know. It's not really why was a society. Maybe half of our society wants to be legal.
Well, I mean, there's a large portion of our society that wants it, and unfortunately, Joe Rogan aside, the arguments aren't good for it. They say, well, it's not hurting anybody, and we think it's beneficial for certain things, which it is. They've proven certain things, and you know, if
that's already more than you can say about alcohol. Correct.
Yeah, well, you know what it is, James.
Maybe it's
human nature is such. You look at all the cultures; they've always had, you know, whether it was Native Americans, they had peyote, and you go in other ones. Yeah, they've always had something that would alter their consciousness,
right?
And escape.
Right. Now, and for a long time, religion served that purpose. That's what the origin of the word was, to pitch out.
Sure.
And when that fails, people look for something else. Now, this is really a drug-oriented culture, whether it's prescription drugs. Sure. People go to the doctor, and if the doctor were to say, hey, to cure your ails, go stand in the corner on your head for 20 minutes and you'll feel fine. And maybe if that works, the person is still upset because they didn't get a prescription for something that they could take.
Well, right.
And I remember one time I heard, I was in the pharmacy. This guy about 30 years ago, and there's an old man trying to get a prescription filled. And he says to the pharmacist, will this make me feel woozy? And she said, no, sir, it won't. If you take it with food, everything's fine. So it won't make me feel woozy? And she said, no, it won't. He goes, oh, okay, because I don't want to know.
Too bad, huh?
Yeah, and I thought she didn't understand it. He wants to feel woozy.
He wants to feel woozy.
He wanted that head rush.
He wanted that head rush, even if he's 75 years old.
Well, I've listened to Joe Rogan, and although I feel that the people that have come on that have been against marijuana have been had inferior arguments. Joe's he's quick, and he's been a proponent for many years, and he's ready.
He's knowledgeable
with answers.
Yeah.
But one of the things that he says that bothers me, and I'll let this go after this, but is that it gives people a heightened sense of intellectualism. They're able to clear their minds and argue things succinctly, and I absolutely think that's wrong. It's not even close. It makes you think that you have this heightened awareness of everything, and that you then can understand the universe and all of its cogs and wheels. But that's not true. You're no smarter than when you started smoking the marijuana than afterwards.
Well, I think a lot of things could lead to an epiphany, where you notice something. Very often that's what makes writing a really good writer. I never thought of that. What a great description. What a great comparison. And under the effects of a lot of mind-altering drugs, you may have those awarenesses. And I remember on the first time I was on, we talked about this, and I had mentioned when I was in Nepal, and I was trekking with a psychiatrist, and he had said, hey, that he thought, medically speaking, and that it was good, for a person now and then, because it blew off, as he called it, the psychic dust, stuff that accumulates, and you have insight into your own life, maybe your past that you've repressed. And when these things come to light and you become aware of them, even when the high is gone, the fact that you became aware of them, they lose their numinosity, to use Carl Jung's term, their power over you. So I knew people that would get stoned every day at work because, if they were doing repetitive gardening tasks or something, because it made the day go by faster.
Right.
My own experiences where it did the opposite for me. It slowed time down. So I would think I've been here for like 3 hours and I've only been here for 5 minutes.
Sure.
So who wants that?
Kind of like working at the Venetian.
Yeah, right,
That's
exactly.
Every day. See, maybe you could have just got out of your head a little bit, Jamie.
But again, you're acquiring no new knowledge. It's a relaxation technique. These could be done by all different types of things.
Yeah.
All it is again, there's nothing new coming into your brain. You're not suddenly realizing, wait, I know this. Although there are schools of thought that we actually are born knowing everything, and we spend a lifetime just remembering.
Well, I would liken it to a kind of a fog. It may lessen around you, but you're kind of focused in on whatever you may be doing.
Yeah,
so then in that way you may be clearing up certain things and being able to really get down on what you're.
Well, I would argue that you're focused. I don't believe that you're focused. I think you're quite the opposite. I think you're being led to believe by your own mind and by the drug, because it's a drug, that you are focused. And one thing, so I'm belaboring the point, and I've never done it, so I can't, and I'm not going to. But one thing I can share with you that I know for a fact, that you mentioned alcohol, and yes, it's going to join the alcohol and all the other things that are bad for us that have to be regulated. Hopefully it's regulated. You can't drive. One of the things that there's a huge court case in Las Vegas where it has to do with driving and marijuana. It is still a drug, just like alcohol. And you want it to be legal or not, you can't drive. You're not supposed to drive because I think, Adam, that the fog is created, not pushed away. I think there's a fog created around you, and it's kind of like shoot a movie onto a smoky screen. I think you're shooting your own movie on there, and it's new fog. And people are just walking around in a fog. Again, I don't know. I don't speak a lot about having kids because I don't have kids. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about marijuana when I haven't smoked it and not going to. It's kind of like saying the N-word. I don't know. Am I allowed to talk about marijuana?
I don't know. I guess you are.
I don't know. Well, I'm going to talk about something that's actually more important to me.
Okay.
Topless women.
There you go. Yeah. Back to explosions and naked chicks.
Where are they? Where are they naked now? I've had many people ask me about topless shows, which we still have in Las Vegas, but we've lost all the classics.
Yeah.
We've talked about we lost Jubilee and Folies Bergère.
Yeah, those are the classics.
Yeah.
And then they had skankier ones. Remember we saw, what was that, Hot Stuff at the Golden Nugget? We saw it with our boss.
Actually even
company picnic.
Yeah. Right. Even Crazy Girls, which is the Crazy Girls show from Paris. Yeah. We actually had a Crazy Girls and
the Crazy Horse. Wasn't it Crazy Horse?
Or Crazy Horse, I'm sorry.
It was a strip club, wasn't
it? Crazy Horse was a strip club. We had Crazy Girls. We had all different types of things. But specifically the topless show, yes, we have topless shows. But John, I don't know, unbeknownst to both John and I think I didn't know the rules of having a topless show.
I didn't know either.
So I'm going to tell you a couple.
Oh, man.
It has the auditorium, which is the strangest one to me. The auditorium has to be 125 seat capacity or more, and it must be escorted to seat only.
Oh,
which is kind of cool anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like a private dance, I suppose.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to. And it's funny. These old dudes, they've been in there forever. They used to seat Sinatra, and so you have to be escorted to your seat. And it's communal tables or little 2 tops or 4 tops.
Yeah.
I hate sitting with other people, but it's classic.
No booths for dances.
No booths for dances, although I think that's been relaxed. There are booths, but it's multiple people in booths, so boobs. Booths. They must have a liquor license. I would think that would be quite the opposite. Yeah, so must have a liquor. Cannot engage with the audience, meaning they can't come down into the audience if they are not the singer.
No touching.
No touching.
Mm.
Yeah. Although they again, I've been to shows where not the girl wasn't topless, but they've engaged. Cannot be seen.
Bend the rules.
Cannot be seen nude outside the auditorium, which is absolutely a request for me for the audience.
Right. How are we supposed to get good pictures?
Exactly. So I have friends in the show Fantasy, and they after the show they go out and they take pictures, but they're of course clothed. And another favorite, no tipping. They can't accept tips.
Can't be throwing dollars up there.
Make it rain.
Yeah. Now the infractions for any of this, which I've seen them actually, the infractions happen, but it's only a misdemeanor to the person.
If they got charged with one of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the gaming commission will do random checks for the shows and to make sure they're complying. But the infraction is a misdemeanor, but the casino is liable and the fines are heavy. In fact, up to and including losing their liquor and or gaming license. So it all comes down to the licenses.
And you got to have the liquor license, right?
Yeah.
And that's expensive there.
Oh, it's and hard as hell to get. You gotta have friends. It's still a juice town. It's still a juice town. Now the second place, which I found really interesting, is street performer nudity ban. Yes, downtown.
Meaning the hula hoops.
Meaning the hula hoop people, yes,
Yeah,
and the dirty Pikachu, and all these other things. Yeah. They're not allowed to be naked. Apparently, there was a time when they were taking their clothes off.
Well, they're getting pretty close still. I mean, I was downtown last year, and there was a woman parading out
body
in front
paint.
She had on a black leather teddy or something, but she was topless. But what she did was she had gold stars
tassels.
over her nipples.
Yeah, some tassels.
So they were
stickers
covered, so to speak. But no, I mean, her tits were just flopping there. And, standing out there. And I thought, I'm really glad to see that they cleaned up downtown.
Yeah, I mean, the characters are already kind of,
it's
scuzzy enough.
And I said that, before. I said, it looks fine until you get up close. So when I went to Los Rages a couple months ago, and I was with my kid, I said, let's go down to Fremont Street. We got to kill some time before it starts. Let's go down there. I want you to see it again. He looked down. What the hell is this? What's wrong with that guy over there? I says, he's drunk. And he goes, yeah, I kind of thought so, but it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It doesn't matter. There's no, time doesn't exist here.
Fremont.
No.
Downtown.
This guy was just hanging on to something, and he had a drink in his hand. And I thought, usually in most places, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you don't see too many people.
He has no idea what time it is.
He has no idea. It's Miller time.
That's right.
And it's so sad. I mean, the ones, nudity aside, but that was banned in late 2015. They made an official ban. It's illegal now to do that. But we have some tragic attempts at costumes. I mean, some guys are actually really good. I mean, I've seen them build like Bumblebee suits from the Transformers, and they're like very impressive.
They can all transform themselves.
And they're scoring some major money at the end of the day. But I always say dirty Pikachu. They had what I'm referring to is they had a Pikachu doll, but it was hand sewn, the wrong color, not cleaned. So I mean, he had dirt spots all over and sweat stains. It was just horrible.
Still panhandling.
Yeah. And some guys they put. One guy I thought he was homeless, but his character was a homeless guy. And so my question to him was,
what was the sign say? Was it good?
Are you wearing a costume or are you not? I just wanted to screw with him, but poor guy. But so no nudity on street performers.
Oh.
Gene Simmons, Pikachu, Bumblebee, nothing.
I saw the real Gene Simmons. He came to the concierge desk at the Venetian once. And what stands out in my mind was he wanted to use a house phone. And he was talking on the phone, but he set his own personal cell phone down. They didn't have smartphones, but he just had cell phones. Yeah. And back then, remember the big rage was you had different covers. Mm-hmm. And he had a Kiss cell phone cover.
Of course
on
he
his
did,
phone.
right?
Oh, sure he did. I would. Yeah. He was smart. He bought the entire licensing.
Somebody gifted that to him.
No, he owns everything, boy. That's why he was mad at the rest of the band, specifically Paul Stanley. They were not friends for a long time because Gene, whose background I believe he's Jewish, he made sure he locked that Kiss stuff down. It was all him. So
he'd been a teacher, I think, like a grade school teacher at one time.
Yeah.
What do you mean, like licensing and all that stuff?
Everything, anything that says Kiss is his.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, but thanks for letting me ramble on about marijuana. So you know what, I'm gonna go ahead.
Actually, I want to bring it back like to Fremont Street. I was there not too long ago, and they actually have a sign up right now that says no marijuana use.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. See?
Yep, on Fremont.
Well, maybe when Tropical Smoothie might have one, maybe you'll give it because I say it's a little different when you consume it that way.
I was just at Tropical Smoothie yesterday. It was like sandal day. If you wore your sandals,
or the flip flop. Yeah.
Yeah, but I went too early. I didn't realize there was like a time frame. Oh. So I didn't get my free smoothie.
Right.
Bummer.
No, a marijuana laced smoothie. No.
There you go.
I'm going to market those along with the trail mix.
Yeah.
And I saw the list of things that are available. I mean, the edibles, the gummy bears and the cookies and the whatever. And they have, John will know this term. I don't know if you know this term, a tincture. You know what a tincture is?
No.
And it's an old term, doctor's term. It's basically like a
mixture of
laudanum and Dilaudid. Yeah, they used to have a little tiny bottle. It was like for drops.
Okay.
and
you sell your snake oils.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Drops.
It's like 1,000 Ways to Die in the West. I mean, it's not regulated. Some dude dropping marijuana in a bucket and giving
this
you.
Seems like 5% or whatever it is.
Yeah,
milligrams.
That's what scares me. It's just like we'll see. Like Joe Rogan again has a wonderful thing about they're selling gummy bears and he asked the guy, how much should I take? It's just a leg.
Right, I've seen that one.
And Joe was great, and it's his bit. He was like, just a leg, Christ. That's no, I don't know.
Why don't they just sell the legs?
Exactly. So thanks for that joke, Joe. Nerd alert. It's time.
Nerd alert.
Yeah. Nice. I see some things. The third one I'm gonna talk about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got a couple things that I know you like the second one too. So they just had E3, which is a big video game conference, and they roll out all kind of their in development or some of the new games titles they want to bring out.
Right.
And I just want to hit a couple of highlights of each system and see if you guys are interested.
Is it over, by the way? Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, it's over.
E3 is over.
I believe so. I think it's over.
All right.
So we'll start with Sony, PlayStation. They had a pretty good lineup. A lot of things they kind of covered last year. They didn't really put out a whole lot of new up-and-coming games.
Right.
But they covered, the new Call of Duty. They covered Uncharted, which is a female lead this time. They're switching over to the Hollywood thing. They got, what do they got? God of War was pretty big. They showed some extensive gameplay of that one. I know we covered that a little bit in the past podcasts.
Yeah.
But it looks great.
Yeah.
Should be out later this year.
Now, COD, did they give it to another company? Are they still bouncing?
I think they're still bouncing.
Yeah.
I'll have to check on which one it is.
Okay. Is it modern, or did they back it up a little bit?
This one's World War II.
World War II.
Which I'm looking forward to going back in time to before they had mechs and jump jets and all that kind of stuff. So they're
double
bringing it back
jump, shoot,
yeah, exactly.
Step in the head,
put me on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't need tanks and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So look forward to that one. And then they put a pretty big presentation together for the new Spider-Man game, which is
based on Homecoming.
Not really based on Homecoming.
Yeah.
Kind of its own storyline. It's got a new suit, but they showed a lot of gameplay and kind of some cutscene footage of him swinging through the city and webbing up a helicopter and destroying buildings and stuff. Yeah, actually looks really good.
Yeah.
I'll be.
And I saw Nintendo you put down there. What are they doing?
Nintendo, they got the Switch, right?
Yeah.
And they're putting out Mario Odyssey, which is like the new kind of 3D Mario based on Mario 64, which is kind of their classic Mario game now.
Yeah.
Where I guess the special thing about this game is Mario throws his hat onto things in the world, like bullet bills or chomps and stuff, and then like kind of takes control of them via his hat. I don't know how that's going to work out exactly, but it looked kind of cool. It looked, new aged models of Mario 64, real cartoony still.
Yeah.
So they'll make a killing on that.
Sweet.
They put out a teaser for Metroid Prime 2.
Oh my God.
Metroid Prime 4.
That was the first Game Boy game I played.
Yeah,
I played it forever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's classic back in the day. I played Super Metroid kind of crazy as a kid. So this is like the new 3D version of it, kind of open world. Not so like kind of mappy as the old ones are.
Yeah.
But no gameplay on that, no date.
Yeah.
But it should be big for that.
Did you hear what you just said though?
What's that?
When I was a kid.
I know. I'm old now. It's old school.
Wow. It's over.
Yeah. I know. I can't help it now.
So these are on PlayStation?
That was for Nintendo. Nintendo Switch. And then Xbox, they have a new they put out the Xbox One X, which is their new step upgrade for the Xbox One.
Okay. Sure.
And that's the official title now is Xbox One X.
Yeah.
It's I think it's kind of funny. They're just
iPhone large, iPhone medium.
Yeah. They're just kind of renaming it with some numerals, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's what PlayStation does too, but I don't know. Seems weird to me. And I guess their big game was BioWare, who did Mass Effect. So I'm hoping that this one will be better. They put out a new one called Anthem, and it kind of looks like the movie Avatar.
Yeah.
Real big world, nature, and you kind of fly through it in kind of Iron Man style with like a bodysuit. Yeah. So kind of space exploration type game.
Okay.
Hopefully better than Andromeda. So we'll see how that goes.
You're rough, man.
Yeah. Well,
I was telling other people.
That's not good.
We've gotten some comments that
that I'm a rough.
You're a rough
judge.
reviewer.
Hey. Once you know the secret behind making something, you expect it to be up to a certain level.
Yeah.
So I'm a game designer. I can see all the flaws. I'm not afraid to point them out.
I think we're going to get you a T-shirt that says "Get Better."
Play better.
Yeah, get better, play better.
That's right.
Okay.
When I had the old PlayStation game, I had the original. I remember there was a game I played, Twisted Metal.
Mm-hmm.
They still make that one?
They had a newish version a couple of years back,
Yeah.
Twisted Metal. Yeah, it was a good kind of racing destroyer opponent type
there
of
was.
game.
It was what was good is you would choose one of the cars that was you, and then
Right.
you had to and there was this maniacal ice cream truck.
It was so good.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
I
and
do
you could hear
remember
him
that.
coming.
Wow.
That laugh. Oh Jesus! Here comes that ice cream truck. I'm gonna
I can't remember his
blow
name.
him
Was
away.
it Smiley?
I forgot
I don't
what his name
remember
was.
his either, but he had like a freaking
And he had
clown
a
face
thing
on
on
fire. And
yes, on
Yeah.
fire, and he
Yeah.
had something on top of the car. And there was a guy on a motorcycle, Mr. Reaper. He was also tough to kill.
Yeah.
But if I
Yeah.
tried to be Mr. Reaper, I got my ass kicked. So
yeah, it was that was a good one. I played that a lot with Hal.
Yeah.
All right.
It was old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I kind of find the same pattern with the games as I see with movies. When they have a winner, I mean, they may come out with new ones, but they like to go back. Let's take this old one and brush it up or do something
remake
to
it, remodel it,
But it's basically the same game.
polish it up.
But yeah, so this is like, there's something times when things evolve to a point where you go back to the starting point.
No, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like Madden, they just keep putting that out every year,
Madden.
and they just repolish and learn, a certain aspect of it.
Yeah.
And then just throw another $60 tag on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the add-ons. We've talked about that. It's
Yeah.
just horrible. All right.
So-
You said Hitman.
All right, so number 2.
I want to hear about that.
Yeah, so the developer of the Hitman series, the
Yes.
video game series,
Mhm.
was IO Interactive.
Mm-hmm.
They were part of Squaresoft, which bought out Square Enix. And they successfully broke away from Square Enix with that property.
Okay.
So they are their own development company now, and they have control of that major series.
Real.
So they're open to whatever direction they can take it now.
Well, they need to bring Timothy Oliphant back. That's all I care.
No, I agree. He was a great Hitman.
Actually,
the second one was pretty good.
I enjoyed both movies.
Yeah, I don't know if they have any direct control over the movie properties per se.
Yeah, I know.
But definitely with the video games. I know
Yeah.
you played a few of them.
Oh yeah.
But they can take control fully now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's great.
It's interesting how even the gaming companies seeked their independence. They're trying to get away from the corporate, control, which corporate control is it's who has the money and who doesn't have the money.
And they have control over the the end game of your vision. So,
Right.
So now that they're separate, they really have they can do whatever they want.
Right. Exactly. All right, Mr. Tyson. I see him everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like.
Do you know Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, when you said Mr. Tyson in Las Vegas, I'm sorry, I thought you meant Mike.
No.
No,
Yeah,
of course
I was
not.
actually going there too if I hadn't seen my notes already.
No, someone with a little bit better background.
So yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a pretty famous astrophysicist, I believe he is.
Astrophysicist.
He's put out a Kickstarter. We love to talk about Kickstarters.
Apparently,
And for a space exploration type of video game, but education based, kind of
Right.
like old school, like Oregon Trail back when I was a kid, when they had all these games that actually taught you something as they went.
Right.
I would never know what diphtheria or dysentery anything was, without Oregon Trail. You look that stuff up.
Right,
So this is going to be like an actual, scientific game
Okay.
with some knowledge that you might actually learn something about space.
Yeah.
And Kickstarter's behind it, so I think that's going to explode here in a minute. I think that's going currently right now.
Oregon Trail was hysterical. I always got diseases.
Yeah.
I always ended up getting.
Yeah. Oh, you've died.
Yeah.
Snake bite.
Yeah, it was tragic.
Yeah. You've broken your big toe. Oh, you're dead now.
Yeah, but well, that's great. He seems to be a positive influence. I was a little concerned that he was getting too much notoriety. Sam's the guy.
Elon Musk? Is that
no,
right?
not Elon. No, Bill Nye.
Bill Nye.
Bill Nye's.
No, he's actually going to be part of this game too.
Is he really? Because
Yeah.
Bill Nye's gotten some negative press recently on his show and
What for?
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
people call him a fake
typical,
scientist now.
Yeah, fake scientist and
Yeah.
sexual harassment and not being politically correct, which sickens me to
Yeah,
death.
because he has the balls to mention climate change.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, to call into light some controversial.
Oh, I
ideas.
think so. I think
Like
it's
flat earthers and whatnot.
I think they've absolutely tried to poison the tree on him. But I mean, when it comes right down to it, he's not a scientist. I mean, he's I don't know his educational background, but it's not science.
No, but Neil deGrasse Tyson is.
Oh, he
Yes, he's
absolutely
got a
is.
doctorate
Absolutely is.
and everything.
But
just like before him, he's kind of the modern day Carl Sagan.
Yes,
back in the 80s, Carl Sagan died really young.
Yes.
But he was the guy who could explain complicated science to the masses.
To the poor.
He had a lot of books.
Layman's terms for
TV shows and whatnot. Yes, he could put it into terms that, this is really interesting. And
right.
Why should I care about this thing?
Yeah. No.
I know. I wish people would care about it. Carl Sagan had some things to say, and unfortunately, all I can remember for Carl Sagan is a Robin Williams bit where billions and billions used to say that all the time. But well, thanks, Adam. That's great.
Yeah.
I want to add one thing to it.
Yeah.
Because E3 is over, but EDC is just about to start.
I've already seen the cars with the logos on the back. Why do you do that?
Yeah.
You're just targeting yourself for these cops to pull you over and check your car.
I have drugs and fireworks.
Please pull me over.
Idiot.
Yeah.
EDC is coming into town. I think tonight.
Today and tomorrow, or maybe it started last night. I don't know.
It might have started last night. EDC Electric Daisy Carnival. Anybody that is for the EDM movement, electric dance music, comes here, and it's out at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Thank God. They used to be a little bit closer, but the Metro Police said, no, go further.
Get this out of town.
Please.
That way they can just set up there's like a stretch of highway before you get to the speedway.
Exactly.
And they're just going to set up right there with speed blocks and roadblocks.
Yeah. And people come in from miles and miles. I mean, they come across the country to say fly in for
at the airport.
A big event.
Yeah, international event. I mean, they had a complete display of Red Bull with a video at Walmart.
No shit.
Yeah, it was so funny. I was like, no way, Walmart.
Oh, that's funny.
But EDC has been here for many years. It's the biggest one, I think, throughout the country. We make fun of it, of course, but I actually like the music, as I've said before. It's great for the economy because, strangely enough, they actually spend some money. I saw some numbers behind it. They come back into town. They stay here. They stay at the hotels. It is... if you're looking for, synthetics and all kind of different drugs and everything else, from what I hear, though, marijuana is not the popular one over there. It's
psychedelics.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's
meth and K and X and whatever they want to call it now. It's a thing. Las Vegas is known for it.
100,000? Is that what they expect? 400,000?
Yeah. No, it's getting bigger this year.
That's huge. I didn't know. Is that many?
And there'll be some dead ones because today is supposed to be 110.
Yes.
And it'll be hotter tomorrow.
Yeah,
111.
Sure.
Yeah. 100 and 100. What are we? 116.
And they're charging $10 a bottle of water.
Oh, sure they are. 116. Last year, only 2 deaths.
Yeah.
One guy jumped over the fence, was going to run to his car and got hit by a car, which is so typical in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And the other one was an overdose.
Heat exhaustion?
No, overdose.
Overdose.
But it's going to be 116.
Coming up.
That's going to be fun.
Next week,
And where my mom is in Phoenix, Arizona, it's going to be 123.
The one thing you'll see is a lot of naked chicks, dude.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, some
but there's naked dudes too. There's a whole lot of.
That's a weird subculture there too.
When I came in the airport, I saw some of the women wearing tutus.
Yeah.
I was, gee, that's right. It's Electric Daisy Carnival. Some of them, quite honestly,
don't
really
need to wear that.
Yeah. I don't think the love handles really are very attractive. Whatever gets you through the night if you feel comfortable wearing that.
Through the airport. I mean, just wait till you get there.
Yeah, wait till you get there.
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen everything. I mean John and I, when we were at the concierge desk, we would see them come in, and of course the body paint. Everybody's painting their body and putting little fuzzy things in their head, it's a split. It's like naked dudes, naked chicks. It's just everybody's naked.
Right.
It's like if Woodstock was shot into space. It's I don't know, but it's relatively tame. A big respect to Metro Police, because I'm sure they don't like to see it come here, but they really take care of it. But so EDC.
One time I would go.
One time, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. They have we would go the way John goes to Las Vegas. We VIP seats.
Yes.
I want to be in the Pope mobile and roll through there.
We would have to, Maverick helicopters, $5,000 transportation, fly you in and out. It would. I mean, if you had that kind of money for transportation to that's the way to go. Yeah. Because you don't want to be caught when you're leaving, knowing that you got.
Oh God, the traffic coming out of there.
And you got them and they're all
insane.
stoned.
Oh yeah. That's right.
You know,
That's
on
right.
top of that, they don't know where they're going.
Just going to have to offer a bunch of beanbag beds for them to hang out in.
Right, exactly. All right, guys, it's time for the Concierge Chronicle. This week we have a cool one. I did some extra research for this. The 7 most famous crimes in Las Vegas history. And some of which predate everybody at the table.
Oh, yeah.
Some of which I actually remember.
I believe I only know of one of them.
Yeah? Okay.
So you're going to enlighten me as well.
I'm going to give some bullet points, some fun things. But these are crimes that happened right here in our town. There was a fire at the Las Vegas Hilton. Las Vegas Hilton has a storied history. It's where Elvis used to play when it was called the International. It's now called the LVH. I think it's still called the LVH.
Yeah.
But great past. But it is not the original building. The original building was destroyed in a fire. A person by the name, a busser and like waiter, his name was Philip Klein. And he said that he tried to take a bag and throw some water over a fire that had started near one of the restaurants. Well, some easy research found that Mr. Klein did not throw water. He actually threw the fire. The bag was on fire, and he did that. 8 people were killed, 200 people were injured, and the building was totally destroyed. So that also happened. I believe it happened pre-MGM Grand Fire, which was actually started by a restaurant, and it was before they had the halon setups where they would just blow the fire out. Mm-hmm. But lots of fires in Las Vegas. We're always burning shit down. But Philip Klein, Las Vegas Hilton arson, it was retermed the Las Vegas Hilton arson. That was number 1. These aren't in any order as far as how many people died.
We love our lists.
Yeah. But the second one, the Bellagio Biker Bandit. We were working.
This was
I remember that one.
not too long ago, right? That's the one I remember.
Not too long ago. His name was Anthony Carleo, and he rolled up in the Bellagio valet in his motorcycle, got off his motorcycle. And we're like New York. We stuff can happen, and we're just dead to it, because we're so focused.
Just
on
every other day, we're just going through the motions.
And when you park here and you say leave it up, a lot of times, the valets will take care of it. They'll leave it up so you don't have to go get it. So he might have said that. He didn't ever say. Drove his motorcycle, left his helmet on, went up to the cage, and robbed him for $1.5 million in chips. Now, he got away with it because he hit the freeway right there. The Bellagio is very close to the freeway here in Las Vegas. Hit the freeway, gone. The first clue they had is that, and again, this was at Walmart. Walmart is the center of Las Vegas, folks. 24 hours.
This is where this guy went. He went terribly wrong.
Yeah. He gave a $25,000 chip to a Salvation Army bell ringer. This was during the holidays. Which now they knew he was still in town. They didn't know who he was. And the next thing he did, which was all thieves are idiots, he got caught trying to Craigslist the chips. And they got him. And the biggest epiphany that was realized by it, is the son. I think that he's now retired, but he was the son of a local judge in Las Vegas. Oh yeah.
So he didn't get off?
And he did not. I believe he's still serving.
But in the old days,
because he was armed. It was armed robbery.
In the old days, back like in the '60s, when the mafia still kind of ran things. Las Vegas pretty much had its own currency because those chips, you could use them anywhere. Mm-hmm. You go to you can go to the grocery store and
just
buy
trade them to somebody. Sure.
Trade it with the chip. Yeah. And now, of course, you have Bellagio chips. You can use those on the tables in Bellagio. You can't go across the street or down the street to the Mirage and throw one on the table, which you could in the old days.
They call them foreign checks. You can't use them at all. Which is the reason why.
Actually, that's not true. You can
use them?
Trade them on the table occasionally. They'll let you just switch it
Okay.
out. They'll just drop it and
but
they'll have an exchange. But
they'll raise an eyebrow though.
Oh, absolutely.
And the eyes, the
you have to call it out.
Sure.
Yeah. But in the old days, you didn't have to do that. That's how it could launder the money.
Okay. All right.
So that guy would have gotten away with it.
Wasn't it Ocean's 11 or something where they stole a bunch of chips and they had the strippers go in like one at a time, and trade them out?
Exactly.
So you can't just go in there and like
No.
What are you gonna do with $1 million in chips?
I know.
You can't go to the grocery store like you said. You can't buy a car with chips.
Yeah, you got to stay under the taxable level. You know,
exactly.
Exactly. You got to do it. Number 3, the Al Bramlett murder. This is I love this story, and I wish I had time to
do you
do
like the story about a guy dying?
No, but why he died. It's fantastic because he was a bastard. He was the union boss for the culinary union in 1977, but he was the type of boss that would blow up your restaurant if you didn't, provide union members in your restaurant, which is exactly what he did. He hired 2 people, 2 hitmen, to do just that, and they did. But then he wouldn't pay him. And so they kidnapped him in a van.
He didn't pay the hitman?
He didn't pay the hitman. He wouldn't pay the hitman.
Well,
yeah, I know, right?
What do you think these guys are doing it for free?
You got to pay your hitman.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. So they kidnapped him, drove him up to someplace in a I don't know why the article said this, but in a white van. It was very important. They said a white van.
They want to give those black vans a bad name.
I guess, yeah. Everything's politically correct. He based on their testimony, they were caught, of course, and they did kill him, but he made a call to the Desert Inn, who would put up a $10,000 prepayment to save his life, and which was nowhere near the fee, but they killed him anyway.
Huh.
Yeah, so he had enough juice to call somebody at the DI and to get the money, but they clipped him anyway. So,
Well,
yeah.
Go figure.
Oh, yeah.
Pay your hitman.
That was in 1977.
And then just
Where were you in 77?
backstab you.
Right. Where were you in 77?
I graduated high school.
Oh, okay.
77.
All right. The kidnapping of Steve Wynn's daughter. Steve Wynn, a major casino owner.
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah. The interesting thing, they kidnapped her, asked for $2.1 million. He negotiated it. Classic Steve. Down to 1.45. And again, thieves. It's hubris. I think it's hubris.
Just can't trust them.
Yeah, they got caught buying a Ferrari.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, like $1 million, 1.4, you just disappear.
Yeah, and it was it's amazing, but in Steve Wynn fashion, he negotiated it down.
Right. How about
she's not
half
worth
of
that much.
Yeah. That's kind of a lot.
I could make another one.
Yeah.
How about I just give you a Ferrari?
That's right. Exactly. Ted Binion kidnapping plot. This was a little bit different. This was not the same one about the silver and everything else. We'll talk about that on a show. Ted Binion was the son of Benny Binion. Benny Binion, a classic casino owner back in the day. Yeah, Horseshoe.
Yeah, downtown.
And people thought he was mobbed up. He was absolutely a friend of the mob people, but he was an good old boy cowboy. He ran a great poker room. If you wanted to play poker with real men.
Yeah, that's where the original
you went to
World
play there.
Series came from.
Yeah, Brunson, all those people, Benny.
Well, they had the World Series of Poker there for years.
For years, yeah. For years.
Until the 90s when it suddenly exploded, I think.
Right.
So it was always a
Binions.
Binions.
Got too big for Binions.
Now, a member of Benny Binion's staff.
Like 6,000 people last year. Yeah, that's crazy.
Member of Benny Binion's staff, Marvin Shoemate, got the idea to kidnap Ted.
Genius.
Yeah, genius. You kidnap the guy with mob ties who would rather shoot you, who actually has shot people in the middle of the casino back in the day. So he kidnapped Ted and sent the ransom and everything else. Well, Marvin wasn't the brightest star in the box there, and Benny found him, and the body was found on a hill overlooking downtown Las Vegas. And that was the end of it. It was the strangest story. That was the end of it. They found him.
Covered that up real quick.
And Benny said, no, he didn't kidnap Ted.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so Benny's looking down from heaven or up from hell. I don't know. But he was still laughing. That was a great one. Now, this one I had to include because it's modern, but O.J. Simpson memorabilia heist. Oh. So he escapes the beheading of his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, gets off and then decides to come to Vegas. He was poor, and he was going to steal back his memorabilia after selling it, claiming
to the pawn shops, right?
Yeah, claiming that who he stole it from him. Yeah, and of course that didn't. What he didn't know was they had a mini cam in the room, and so literally they had video footage of him doing it. Oh yeah. And lastly, my favorite, because I like mob stuff, Hole in a Wall Gang. Tony the Ant Spilatro was the notorious and the most prolific Las Vegas mob enforcer known. He and his brother, they decided to go out on their own and make a crew, and armed robbery and all different types of crimes, and extortion being one of them, a huge one. And they got caught. Ultimately got off. But the bosses in Chicago and New York found out, and they said, no, we don't need all this notoriety. And they caught him. They took him to a cornfield, beat him up, and buried him. Yeah. Now you might recognize this from the plot of Casino.
Yeah, it was taken right from that.
Right from there. Right
Joe
from that.
Pesci.
So Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro played. In the movie, he played Arnold Rothstein. Yeah. But his actual name is
Lefty Rosenthal.
Yeah. Taken directly from that. But so Las Vegas, don't kid yourself. The ghosts of the mob are still here, and like I said, they run our trash company.
Yeah. Well, I'd mentioned when we were talking beforehand that for those who've seen the movie, that in the beginning, Robert De Niro character Lefty Rosenthal is, he starts his car and it blows up.
Right.
And that actually happened. What he would do, probably not a smart idea for a guy in that business, is he was a very, very much a creature of habit.
Right.
And he would go every morning. He went to Marie Culliner's on East Sahara for breakfast. And I think it's 600, 800 East Sahara. It's still there. So if you're in the area, you just drive by and you can say, hey, that's where it really happened.
Yeah.
But there was a Tony Roma's place for ribs next door to that, and because they're only open for dinner or whatever, he would park his car there, and then he'd just walk over to Marie Culliner's, and that's when he went in there. They knew where he was going to be, and that's when they placed the bomb under the car while he was in there, and he came out and started up, and it blew up.
Yeah, you can't be too repetitive as a gangster.
Yeah,
no,
yeah. I think that's Callender's. I think it's Marie Callender.
Marie Callender, Cullender.
Yeah, it's Callender.
Callender's.
No, I know it's amazing what's happened. Another scene in Casino is them in a bar. Sharon Stone comes and she's asked for Pesci's help, Spilatro's help, and she's whacked out on marijuana. No, it's all other kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and that restaurant is actually I don't know if it's still here, but it was the Manhattan restaurant.
Oh,
yeah, it was over off of Sahara, I believe.
Yeah, well, the hotel was the Stardust. I mean, it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But
I know all the classics are gone.
Yep.
All the classics.
I stayed at the Stardust back in the 90s. It was like $35. And, at the time, I mean, that's what, the Las Vegas rooms, they were very basic, but that's all you needed. It had a bed and had a shower.
Yeah.
What more do you need? You should be out of your room.
Spending time there, right?
You're right. And when we worked at the hotel, a lot of people would get pissed off at us because we didn't have
a dorm room.
We didn't have HBO.
Right.
Well, this is a 5-star hotel. Yeah. Well, if you want HBO, you have to go to a cheaper place. You have to go to Motel 6 or something, or Econoline.
Rent it by the hour.
Yeah, rent it by the hour. I said, you're going to get...
You're like, we got tons of things you can do.
Well, I'm going to go stay at the Bellagio. Go ahead. They don't have... Yeah, please, sir. Yeah. I'll help you pack. They don't have HBO either, because the whole idea is the business model is get you out of the room.
Exactly.
Right.
So it might look
spend
really
money at their shows.
Yes. They want you out of there, because people would call invariably at that time because of The Sopranos.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you record it like everybody else does, asshole, and watch it when you get back home in 3 days?
Yes, I remember the Soprano parties. They would get so mad.
You get pissed off at us because we couldn't show them The Sopranos.
Yeah, but the Stardust, the only time I spent at the Stardust, I went to a show, and it was called Enter the Night. And I recently met, I was covering a show. I was actually photographing this show recently, and I saw this act, and they were gauchos. They were from Brazil, and I'll be damned if it wasn't the same gauchos that I saw probably 15 years ago in Enter the Night. Yeah, so they stay here
still
forever.
Doing their thing. Huh?
Still doing their thing. They're really good, but
they must be
a little long in the tooth. All right. Well, so that's why we love Las Vegas. There's mobsters. There's death. There's mayhem. So it's
That's
not
some good stuff. Have you ever been to the Mob Museum?
I have not.
I'd like to do that.
I
Yeah.
want to do that too.
Yeah. You know what? There's a lot of people I want to call and do remotes.
Yeah.
I want to do a
that
remote
would be
there.
cool.
That'd be very cool.
Well, they even have things there that aren't related to Las Vegas per se. They have the wall, where the St. Valentine's Day Massacre occurred.
Right.
The brick wall, they've reconstructed there.
Exactly.
So, there are a lot of places that want to bury their dirty laundry.
Right.
Las Vegas wants to put it out on the clothesline.
Celebrate it.
Yeah, right.
Celebrate
Yeah,
it.
even if it's not
Sin
our
City.
dirty laundry.
Yeah,
we'll
come
take
and take
it.
a look.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll take your dirty laundry. There's a new show on TV. It's on that Discovery ID channel.
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush.
It's called Sin City Justice. Have you seen it or heard it?
I haven't.
Okay.
Oh,
Is it a reality show?
Yeah. It has the local DA here. What's his name? Wolfson, who's he's a capital punishment guy.
Okay.
Kill them all.
Yeah, I can't get into that. But anyhow, they have cases on that they're prosecuting.
Sin City Justice?
It's called Sin City Justice. The first episode was the War Machine.
The MMA guy.
Yes, the MMA guy. That was the first. That
not,
was the
not
first.
again, not the sharpest knife in the drawer either.
Yeah. So we don't mind parading around our.
No, we like all with shady stuff. With still Las Vegas.
Yeah.
We got rid of the family crap a long time ago. Kids shouldn't be here.
That's right.
Speaking of kids, it's one of my gear grinders, but not this week. We got a couple of them for you now. I have coined a phrase that I've used for years, and it's probably akin to saying it's that guy. There's always that guy in that situation, and that became popular. But I refer to it as performing life, and the little subtitle I put is the dissolution of sincerity. One thing that I will watch as a train wreck, but it really upsets me later on, and beyond just grinding my gears, it upsets me terribly, is people have lost their identity. They now just perform life. They take their gluten allergies and their millennial backgrounds and their technology, and they are a different person than they really are. And I've seen this, in part and in whole, and I was going to see if you guys agree with that. Do you, Adam? Do you see people of your generation in the 30s, 30 years old and whatnot, that aren't themselves?
Sincere.
Yes.
Yeah, all the time. People have a different, home persona than they do outside of home, and all the time. My close friends, Hal, even in particular, he admits it, he goes out and he kind of performs a little bit, he gets people to like him, has high energy, and when he gets home, he's a little more low key, he'd rather just hang out and play a video game, watch a movie, something like that.
Right.
So it could be simple, it could be, real highs and lows.
Yeah. Most of the time what I'm referring to is people, the entertainer Prince and Michael Jackson and Madonna, they're unique individuals. They own it. That's who they are. Some of it's a performance, but honestly, not much of it. It's still them. But I think people are weird for weird's sake. And they
just to get attention type of thing.
Even to the point of adjusting their voice tone and their speech patterns and the way they walk and talk and everything else. And I just think, 'cause I've seen it. Well, like you said, Hal will change when he goes home. If you watch these people that are, on stage all the time, they're always on, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch them, you catch just a little bit of a lilt. You're like, oh,
there he is.
That's
like the
That's
real.
the real guy.
Yeah.
And I just think their lives must be so tragic to them that they have to create this other person.
Well, look at coming back to Robin Williams. Terribly depressed in his regular life, so he has to, become another level and create comedy in order to overcome that.
Yeah.
I know we've worked with a guy named Curtis. He always plays a character like Elvis or like a superhero or whatever for a lot of the Mirage gaming conventions.
Right.
Or tournaments.
Sure.
And when he goes home, he's got to turn it off, I assume, because he's always on. He's always playing the character. He's always, doing the, this type of thing.
Right.
Creating that mood. But
yeah.
Don't you think, James, that Las Vegas is kind of a magnet for that in the sense that people will come here. That's the whole thing. What happens here stays here. The bullshit. And when I worked at the hotel, I always thought, my God, are these people this big of an asshole when they're home? I mean, are they this rude?
Always.
Are they, are
Is
they
it just
this
Vegas?
way all
Like
the
they
time?
come
Same way
here?
when you go to a concert, I always look at where the fuck did that guy come from?
Yeah.
I mean, what hole in the wall did this guy come out? How does he support himself? Whatever. And you realize, hey, maybe he's just, he's just hanging out or just cutting loose. But I don't know.
I think Vegas is it does bring that out, but I think they're striving, pathetically for acceptance. They're like, well, okay, I need to speak, more like the black community. I have to have a counterculture type of vernacular, or I have to know the tech language and know what current millennial epithets that they're using. Yeah, the lingo. And instead of just being themselves, they have to be cool. And that's always been the way. I mean, it's no different, but it seems more prevalent in today's society that when I meet a person, I'm almost dead sure that I'm not meeting the person that I would meet,
outside of that situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I may wear things on my shoulder, my heart on my sleeve, but I'm real. This is me. I'm irritated and annoyed, and I don't like people.
And he'll let you know it.
And I'll let you know it. And John, I think you're the same as well. I think that I weep for society because I think that it's not this. It's false. It's a mirror. It's a wonderland. And and it makes me very upset because I don't think I can get a real answer from anybody. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think you kind of hit it there.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to weed out the fakeness nowadays.
Gosh, it is.
Yeah.
It is because it's so accepted, and the fact that we're no longer. Most of our lives are spent apart. Maybe that's why.
Right, you can't tell what's real because it's all just on Facebook.
I'll go back to Elon Musk and everybody else. I mean, maybe this is a big video game. Or we're
in the Matrix.
Yeah, we're in a little tiny cell in a world, that is part of Will Smith's finger. I don't know, but here's okay. We don't need to wax, dramatic here. This is what really irritates me because I can't go to a restaurant now where I don't have to tell them no. I don't want to sit at the goddamn communal table. I don't want to eat with anybody. I brought the person I want to eat with. I brought John, I brought Adam, I brought Susan. Yeah. I don't want to eat with these people.
I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I don't know who they are.
Creepy.
And I've had one person tell me, well, don't you want to meet them and find out things? Absolutely not.
Like what for?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because I will,
Who the hell are you?
I'll bet you dime the dollar I won't like them. And they're gonna
be fake anyway.
And they're gonna eat loudly and want to talk about stupid things. No.
And they got kids, and
They have kids. Yeah, yeah. But no, I saw.
Wait, so what restaurant are you talking about that has communal tables?
Recently that I saw, Libertine Social over at Mandalay Bay.
Okay,
that's right.
That's like their thing, though, right? That's why it's a social.
Well, I don't know the background of Libertine. I don't think that's the only one. I think that's a.
But that's like the hook there, right?
It's a hook.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's just another gimmick.
Yeah, and I guess Adam, you being single, it might be good to meet somebody.
Yeah, maybe, but are there single chicks going there to?
And did you go there alone? No.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Do you don't like to?
No, I wouldn't like that. I haven't been there. I remember one time years ago I was in Hong Kong, and I sat down at a table. That's pretty common there. I mean, I'm going back to the 80s, and a guy came and sat across from me who I didn't know, and I thought.
Weird, right?
That's weird. Yeah, and not like I can talk to him. He didn't speak English. I didn't speak.
Right. Yeah,
and Cantonese.
It's that's the international communal tables.
Yeah.
That would be actually kind of funny.
The problem then is because you are the foreigner,
right?
Then everybody's got to stare at you.
Yeah.
And over here it's just like, well, don't stare, just kind of glance at them or something. But no. Over there they don't
full
give
on.
a
They're
shit.
like eating their food, like.
Yeah, look at that guy. He can use chopsticks.
Right.
Well, yeah, I can use chopsticks. Look, there fucking 13 years. What do you expect? I can use chopsticks. Got fingers just like you do.
Well, I mean, it's gotten so bad. I've actually tipped to not sit at one. I'm like, I'll give you $20 for a two-top,
Yeah.
and which is silly. You're in $20. I haven't eaten anything. No. So no.
Some people pay on the internet to watch people just eat food.
Yeah.
They have a whole thing for that on Twitch or whatever.
Yeah.
They get paid money just to sit and stare at a webcam and eat
People
dinner.
People will pay money for anything. John knows what.
Yeah.
John and I used to talk about the vending machines for old underwear.
Yeah, they had that in Japan.
Oh, sure.
They had the
Used underwear.
Yes.
Wow.
Along with, it was like a baseball card of a picture of a girl in the high school uniform, and it was supposedly her underwear.
Sure, so you can pretend that's
Oh yeah.
Panty raids.
And then in the same geographic area, the Asian area territories, didn't you also tell me they would sell? They had a vending machine for like full fifths of alcohol.
Oh yeah. You could go there and it'd be right on the street corner, right?
Yeah.
Because after the bars closed, what they did is they finally came up with the laws of, well, we're going to close the bars at 2:00. So the vending machines had to be off. All they did is they unplugged it from the wall. You just go there, just plug it back in, right? or the light would go off. But it was so you just look at it, it's still plugged in. There's the outlet. Just plug it in. And you could feed, at that time it was equivalent of $20 or whatever, $10, and you could get a whole fifth of whiskey. You could get what they call shochu, which is a cheap gin that they would mix with, something like a tequila mix or something, and it was sweet, it was nasty, it was cheap, and it got you nasty drunk, and it was
and it was readily available.
24% alcohol. Anybody could buy it. I mean, it's not like you have ID. And I was thinking, wow, when I was in high school, I'd have loved this place.
Yeah.
But I really never saw any high school kids there. They didn't know what they had.
And it's just an everyday thing.
One time I saw a high school girl in the convenience store buying a beer. And I said, where's that girl's buying a beer? And he goes, well, she's probably bringing it home to her father. I said, I'd like to see her try that in the U.S. Wow. No, that's not for me. I'm bringing it home to my dad.
Yeah. My sick father needs this beer.
Wow. Now there's a night for you.
And even porn magazines and videos. Back then they had the VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw those right on the street. You put the money in. And
so
it's a different culture. That's
I
all.
now know what you did.
Prudes over here.
For all those years, I now know what you did.
A lot of vending.
Well, somebody had made the comment, and it was certainly true with Japan, was that when they wanted to introduce nationwide or society-wide a new technology, they would introduce it through porn or smut. Because, they had the VHS, and so they had the video shops. The first ones in Japan were all adult video shops.
Okay.
Because
VHS,
now look, you don't have to go to the...
It's a new video technology. That's why Blu-ray won over HD DVD.
Right.
It has...
Because porn came with Blu-ray first.
And, so you could, you no longer have to go to the sleazy movie theater to watch the porn. You can watch it at home. So that made people go out and buy these things. So then it evolved where then, okay, now that local porn shop adult shop is going to start carrying, westerns or action
the classics
movies.
Are
So you'd go there and the regular video stores would have an aisle for comedy and drama
and an adult section.
And an adult section. And when they had the bins, they'd get rid of the old videos for like $1, the equivalent of $1. And they would throw them out in a great big bin out front. You go tearing through them, and I'd see, what's one here? I'd have to read the Japanese a little bit slower. Than Aladdin. Okay, this is Aladdin. What's this one? Fuckland. That's what it was called. It was called Fuckland, and it was thrown in with Aladdin
with all the,
and Anna Green Gables. And I went back a few days later, and I looked, and there's Aladdin.
And Anna Green Gables, right? But
and
no porn.
But Fuckland is gone.
Yeah.
Somebody said, hey, I'm going to buy
wow,
this.
that's $1?
Well, isn't that
That's
always the
steal.
way you go in for Fuckland and it's gone?
Yeah.
I see- I
and then
see
you end
what-
up getting Aladdin anyway.
That's right.
I see what your nights were like. Fifth of gin, porn, some sushi, and some Hello Kitty underwear, and you're on your way.
Everything, they address every imaginable fetish.
Well, thanks for memory lane, John. Again, we're going to have John back. Just literally, I'm going to have on the rundown John. That's all. We're going to talk about John's life. I think it's fantastic. All right, and I'm going to make everybody mad at the well, not John. We're going to make Adam mad again. I'm coming
Apparently,
off.
I'm always mad. So
I'm coming off of the marijuana argument, which I'm sure.
I'm going to take the opposite stance on this one.
Okay, but I did some. Adam mentioned that last week we had Wonder Woman on. We were running long, so I kind of cut it short. Didn't talk about Wonder Woman, so we'll talk a little bit about it today. However, when I was doing research on Wonder Woman, I found many, surprisingly, to me, because I've seen her, many people that in the beginning, as it was being released, and then after it was released,
and still
don't like Gal Gadot.
How come?
They felt, well, the overriding feeling, and I kept seeing this over and over again in different comments. Now, I will admit that anybody that comments is probably sitting in the house with 12 cats and they're nutbags. They're either, because they love to be negative, but there was a lot of them. And they said she was the wrong ethnicity, saying that Amazonian princess, queen, was of Greek origin.
Whereas she's Israeli.
She's Israeli, and so that was a big problem. Which they're both olive-skinned. I don't understand.
Well,
that.
You see, this is akin to getting an African American actor to play a notoriously white role.
Sam Jackson.
Sure.
Yeah,
exactly. Or coming up, the gunslinger. The Dark Tower.
Oh, Idris Elba.
Idris Elba as what most would consider a white character.
Well, if you look at the comic book, I mean, I read the comics in the '60s. Right?
Uh-huh.
I've got Woman and Woman comics. I thought when I first saw it, I said, "Wow, she looks exactly like the comic."
You think so?
And she was white-skinned in the comic.
Yeah.
Whether or not, I mean, come on, this whole land that she lived in is mythical.
Well, of course, and I think that particular argument or those statements could probably be set aside because of what you guys just said.
Yeah.
Now the next one, not so much, and I kind of agree with it. Her although a lovely accent, it was the accent that very distracting. Because Wonder Woman, is supposed to be, although Amazonian and Greek origin and so on, is supposed to be a all-American apple pie superhero, with Superman.
Sure, red, white, and blue version.
Exactly.
American.
And you have Miss Gadot with,
That's the problem,
and she's got this thick accent that she's not going to get rid of.
No.
And so that was a big problem. And then the third problem, I'm only mentioning the ones that were
the big ones,
oft mentioned. Can't act. Terrible actress. And that's a tough one to overcome.
She's been in some small roles.
She has.
Fast and the Furious. She didn't really have a whole lot of lines. She's still kind of learning English. Maybe it comes out a little wooden.
I did see her interview on either Fallon or Kimmel, where she said she was on the way back home and got Wonder Woman.
Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, she herself was going
almost out of the acting business.
To me, because when I saw the movie, I really liked the fact that she had an accent. Now, granted, it might not have been from that
a
culture,
close-ish area.
Right.
But the thing is, and I look at it, is Superman, Wonder Woman are really at the heart. They're classic immigrant stories.
Yes.
You look at Superman, it's a planet, but he's coming from, and it's not a war-torn country, it's a planet facing annihilation. He comes here as a baby.
He's an immigrant.
He's an immigrant.
Yeah, totally.
He comes in there, he's got a funny name. Try to imagine that in Donald Trump's America.
Right.
Coming in, what's your name? Kyle. It's got that hyphen. You must be an Arab. Go try
weird.
France, you fucking terrorist.
Right.
Wonder Woman, one of the best scenes to me in that movie was when she's trying on these clothes.
Yes.
Right? And she's saying, how do you fight in this?
Give him the stretch.
And again, she's coming into a foreign culture, just like a lot of immigrants did. Remember, Wonder Woman goes back, Superman was written in the 30s, 1930. Wonder Woman, I don't know, but I was reading her and she was old then in the 60s.
Right.
So you come in and you try to fit in, and there are people there to help you, and you become a productive member of that society. It's kind of the classic immigrant story. So you see her there trying on these Western clothes and wondering, again, applying her background knowledge of how do you fight in these things.
Yeah,
well,
this is
you
what
don't,
you wear for armor?
because a lady doesn't. Yeah, a lady doesn't fight. Right. So I kind of thought, and I know it's been a criticism of Disney in particular historically that the villains have foreign accents. It goes into their whole xenophobia.
Sure.
You look at Aladdin.
Mustaches and
Aladdin. Jafar, he had the Middle Eastern accent. Well, it takes place in the Middle East. Okay, fine. Then how come Aladdin doesn't have an accent? I mean, he does. He has an American accent.
Right.
You go back even farther than that. You look at 101 Dalmatians. Right,
Cruella
Cruella DeVille.
The protagonists in there,
they sleek.
Yes,
the villains.
they're either British or they have a British accent. They have a foreign accent.
They're British,
and the protagonists always have American accents, even if the story takes place in England.
Sure.
So,
Interesting.
Absolutely.
James Bond, You know, occasionally he had kind of an American-ish.
Yeah. But usually with them, they always have it so that you can paint. And remember, the kids are the ones seeing these very often.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can recognize the good people because they talk like you do, and those other people who are outsiders are the bad ones, and they talk funny.
Now, flying directly in the face of all these comments, of course, it just surpassed 500 million and surging.
Oh,
it's really clicked with women and girls, and who needed to identify with a woman superhero, because they just, I don't think they've Avengers. I don't know, Scarlett Johansson and Elizabeth Olsen. I think they do a great job. But I don't think people identify with the Scarlet Witch. Wonder Woman is the classic, like I said, apple pie. I mean, it's just hot dogs and baseball.
That's why I liked that it brought it back to kind of a period piece. She got to find things about the world kind of without knowing about them. Like it's a baby, and never seen a baby before, and clothing she'd never seen.
Yeah,
we got to kind of learn with her as she went. And something you didn't mention was her physique. A lot of people said that she wasn't big enough as an Amazon.
That's what I
thick
thought
enough.
was.
She's quite tall, but
not muscular.
Well, I was
enough.
glad that they didn't go with somebody like
somebody's
China,
built,
built like China from the WWE, or really voluptuous.
No, I found that
she
might not have been built, but they portrayed it to be fast.
Yes,
and fearless.
Yeah.
And the fact that she was supposedly, I would understand that she would need to be that big if she were purely human, right? But being having the
demigod,
being a demigod, she doesn't need that, to need that physical strength anymore.
She can shrug off bullets,
Now, technically, no one really had anything to say about the film. They thought it was a quality film.
97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
There you go. But still in the technical category, which I have to agree with, it's long. Yeah, it's a long film. Yeah, 2 hours 21.
220, yeah.
220.
221.
It's a long film. And John and I were speaking about this in the pre-show. You're not going to bring even a child that would enjoy Wonder Woman as the subject. You're not going to bring a kid for 2 hours and 20 minutes. You can't. No. It's because the gerbil is going to lose. They're going to start wanting to leave.
The attention span.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even isn't the Justice League movie going to be even longer?
Probably.
That's what I hear.
I heard 250.
Yeah.
And, I remember
almost 3 hours.
Back in the 80s,
I
remember I went to see Reds. That was the Academy Award winning movie, Warren Beatty. And it was 3 hours.
Yeah.
But they had an intermission. In fact, if you get the DVD, get it. It comes in 2 DVDs, and it says intermission after the first one.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, everybody, you're going to take 10 minutes off, go take a piss, whatever you want to do, come back. And, it's just like, well, people still have to do that sort of thing.
Right.
So you're going to sit here for like 2 hours, especially we got a little kid.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's for, and again, don't bring your children anywhere.
Yeah.
Keep them home till they can drive. But I do think it's a little, 2 hours 20 is a little long for a character introduction.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
origin stories tend to be the best ones, though.
I mean,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
It went by pretty fast, I thought.
But
I thought so. I mean, I didn't see any real lulls in it. Maybe kind of when they were going through London.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the scenes with the Germans.
Yeah.
But I thought anything that Gal was in was great. She was.
Yeah, I'm surprised that in their infinite greed that they didn't think of, wow, we got 2 movies here. Let's release it. We'll release the first one. It'll be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We'll make the second one. We can add a few more
part
scenes.
2.
Part 2.
Well,
we can leave it off at this end here.
That's what they do with like Harry Potter and.
Well, see, the Harry Potter already had the audience. They had the book audience, and they were clamoring for these.
Yeah.
The DC movie makers, the producers, already arguably misstepped with Superman versus Batman, and so they're walking on glass.
Needed it. Yeah, they needed to hit on this.
They're afraid to split it in 2 because what if they hate the first part?
Sure, yeah. First one bombs, then what are you gonna do with the second one?
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't know if they're still walking on cat paws. I think they still are until they get that first group film out. Where they can have Momoa and
I'll tell you what, Momoa's getting a lot of
attention
as Aquaman.
Yeah. He is.
I think Yeah, I think
But
this,
is it-
this movie, Wonder Woman, and it
Yeah.
has gotten such
He looks
rave
more like he
reviews.
would be the bad guy, doesn't he?
And he's been bad
got that-
guys. He was
Yeah,
a great
that
bad guy in
Cal
Bullet to the Head
Oh,
with
right.
Stallone. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he does have that
that
beard. and
brooding,
just,
dark,
just
yes.
giant figure.
And even as a kid, when I would get Aquaman, and really even looking at Marvel, if they had one character, I think that's where they really did a
Missed.
pratfall, Submariner, right? Prince Namor. They've never
Yeah.
had made a
Namor.
movie.
Oh yeah.
And I used to get, when I got the comic, it was Namor, it was Submariner and Hulk in the
Yeah.
same issue, and I would kind of skip the Submariner one. Because it's just like, all right, the guy lives underwater. How come when he talks, how come his hair's never wet?
Well, that and he was I know they probably won't say this ever, but I think Namor looks too much like a Vulcan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
he did. He had a
Yeah,
triangular
had
head.
the
Yeah,
ears.
it's Spock
Yeah.
under the water, and I
Yeah.
just don't. I think that's why they don't introduce
Yeah,
him.
He's
and
always shirtless.
Aquaman was
Yeah.
the same thing. It's just like, all right, he lives underwater. How come,
Yeah, next.
how does he run?
Yeah. And now that Momoa's out there, they're never going to introduce him. Yeah.
You know what's funny is they're giving the Aquaman in the comic books a Jason Momoa
Yeah.
makeover.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Giving him the beard and the dark hair and
That's funny.
a little more brutish. Yeah.
Well, all right, folks. There's Wonder Woman. I'm waiting for what's the next Marvel?
Marvel will be Spider-Man, I think.
Is it Homecoming? Okay, all right. And that has walk-ons. Obviously, the Robert Downey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm
Okay.
sure.
Is
I'm
it
sure
gonna
Sam
tie
Jackson
in?
will make an appearance.
Of course.
See, the problem I have is I watch these. I go to see them like Civil War.
Yeah.
I 2 days later, I don't remember what the hell the story's about because I went there and I watched it. Okay, and then they pick it up a year later and say, wait a minute, what's going
What
on
happened?
here?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I don't remember. Come on, it's just entertainment. It's
All right,
not-
guys. This week we have a true Area 52. I got 2 alien ones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I came across an article. There have been, as recent as February of 2017, this year, alien sightings.
UFOs and stuff like that.
UFOs,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
alien sightings.
Sure. When they're like,
Yeah,
just
and
the other day.
there have
not
been
electric carnival Daisy
no,
Carnival.
not electric. No, EDC.
They might see some things, but
No ecstasy related sightings. These are sober people not dancing.
you sure?
Um,
Are you sure
yeah.
it's over? They could be on like all kinds of things.
It's Vegas. Yeah. So we have a township here in Las Vegas called Summerlin. None of us like to drive out there because it's a pain in the ass. It's on the 95 freeway. It's always blocked. But Summerlin it used to be affluent. It's not anymore after the crash. But lovely place, and they have a lot of homes built on hilltops and communities built on hilltops. Well, one of these hilltops in the township of Summerlin had alien ships flying above it. So
Just the one house?
Just no. Well, actually, it wasn't even a house. It was. I don't know what mountain range is out there, but it was above the mountain range, being watched by these people, and over 50 people called their local constabulary and said, "Oh my God, we're being invaded."
Yeah, for sure.
Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum are
call them up.
Yeah, it's right there.
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. That's right.
So what are they, lights in the sky?
They were lights.
Yeah.
Of course, the fuzzy picture, with the Bigfoot. And again, it was lights in the sky, but there were 3. There was a big one, a medium one, and a little one. And I don't know if it was how the distance away, but they all described the same thing. Interestingly enough, and the article says that there was no explanation given. They said
no cover up.
Yeah,
there wasn't solar flares
or
or
nothing. They were like
gas in the atmosphere.
No gas, no weather balloons.
Weather
Those were big
balloons
back in the day.
Yeah.
No, and so but there was this documented. These 50 people all saw this at the same time.
So we got probed.
We got probed.
Yeah.
Well, someone did. Someone did. Now the next one I found really funny. On the heels of this sighting, people have re-engaged themselves into this author. His name was Paul Hellyer, and he's a Canadian minister. And he said that aliens have visited our casinos in human suits.
Nice.
Yes.
Skin suits.
Skin suits, and I've met some. Trust me.
Yeah, that must explain it, Jay.
That's right.
It's a few
those
people that we
dealt
know.
with.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. But but then he was the most recent one to write articles and books, and there were previously in the 70s there was a U.S. Air Force captain, I believe his name was Charles Hall, wrote the same thing. Unrelated, didn't know each other. I don't believe Charles Hall is still alive. I think he's passed, but literally the same story, two different guys, but with the human suits in our casinos. But what they didn't say was a reason. They just visited.
Oh.
Yeah. And again, it's like everybody else is, that has a clear mind. Why would they do this? Why would aliens come and go to our casino?
Go to a casino, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, one time when I was working at the desk, a woman came up wearing a fake, it was a fur coat. Whether it was real or not, I don't know. I assume it was fake. And it was too warm for that. I mean, it's rarely appropriate to wear in
100
Las
degrees
Vegas.
outside, people still wearing their
she
minks.
comes in,
Right.
and she had a big manila envelope and a videotape and all kinds of crap in an envelope, and she sets it down on the desk. And she says, "Oh, hi, the hotel's sponsoring my stay. Can I check in?" Well, we didn't check people in at the front. Well, I didn't know. I saw the videotape and I saw someone.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I don't know, looking at her, and she's, like I said, she's kind of
Maybe
dressed.
she's special.
Maybe she's an entertainer
She's
singing in the
special.
lounge.
Yeah,
I'm
right,
looking, I
right.
said, I don't recognize her. So I said, well, yeah, who are you? And she said, everything's here. And she slides this stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
I've got all the documents. And I just looked at the front. And it said it was a lie detector polygraph examiner. It had his name certified by so-and-so that it was authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw the questions. And the first one said on there, or one of the questions that I saw was, do you have alien DNA? Yes. That's what she answered. So I looked at her and I said, and ma'am, I'm sorry, your name? Because I'm going to try to look it up in the system. And she looks at me like I'm a moron. And it just says,
It's all in the paperwork.
God. I said,
well, there you
oh,
go.
there you go. And the fact you got the polygraph only indicates that you're not lying. That doesn't mean that what you're saying is true. It just means that you believe it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So I said, oh, well, go over to invited. I look over and invited guests.
Just go that way.
And there was an assistant manager there I didn't like. So I said, she'll check you in over there.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
Yes,
I had.
pass the buck to that guy.
Yeah, as I recently realized what happened to me at the desk. I had this woman come up, and she put this box in front of me, and she again seemed a bit touched, and I said, what would you like? And again, they just place the box in front of you and think
And just expect you to
I'm going to
read their mind.
divine the answer here.
Yeah.
And she said, I need this placed in the securest hotel safe that you have. And of course, the pat answer is, you got a safe in your room. It's pretty secure. And the box would have fit. But no, this is very important. Yeah. And I said, well, I'll see what I can do to arrange this. I'm going to need to know what the item is. They won't just secure anything.
Right.
And she brings this out, and it was this little tiny machine that looked like a Geiger counter with these cables coming out of it and these two silver handles. And only now do I realize what it was, because this was years ago, and I didn't really know much about the movement. But it was an e-meter from Scientology.
Okay. To
Yeah.
like what? Find ghosts?
No,
What's
I don't
an
know if you
e-meter?
know much about Scientology, and please don't look into it. But the e-meter is a big part of their culture, and basically you would hold these, they call them cans, and the person who's called an auditor would ask you questions, these ridiculous questions, and they would, and it was based on electrical current, which we all have running through us, and the needle would go up and down, and they would make up
It's a weird lie detector test.
Yeah, exactly. But that was the weirdest thing. I thought until only recently, I thought this woman thought it was an alien communication device, which in Scientology it still is.
Kind of, right?
Yeah, and sure enough, I as I remembered, it was like, no way, it was an e-meter.
And she wanted that thing secure.
She wanted it secure. It was basically two Campbell's cans hooked
Right,
to a
exactly.
an air pressure gauge.
They had the guy, when I lived in Japan, I think here he was known as the Doomsday Cult. Mm-hmm. They'd set off the sarin gas on the Tokyo trains. Well, when I lived over there, I would see these people all the time because they were right around one of the train stations, and they were tolerated. I mean, and they were nuts, but yeah, some of them would wear a a shower cap that had wires just glued to it. And they could just look at it. I mean, we could make it in 15 minutes, right? It's a shower cap with a bunch of wires and electrodes on it,
right,
that don't apparently function. But this is the way that they could communicate telepathically with their guru.
That makes sense.
Asahara Shoko.
Okay.
And they would pay upwards. And then, I mean, this guy, Rao, I thought, man, this guy's good. What a scheme he's got. He would sell them a bottle of his own bath water that he soaked in.
It's miracle
for
water.
like, $1,000. You grab onto that.
Rub this on your skin and you're going to make millions of dollars.
That's it. And he would levitate and float, and, you know.
John, you know what? I'm telling you, there's a market for us, you know, making you, the new Sun Young Moon. We're gonna somehow get you to be the leader of a cult, and we'll sell anything that falls off you. We'll sell it.
Now these guys, did they have any? What was their evidence or anything to why they thought that these aliens had come and visited the casinos?
Well, they
were just burning to bet money.
They said, well, of course they go with, you know, that it's an integral part of our culture is the gambling and gaming and everything else, and they said they had to learn about that. They never identified who the people were. They didn't have a picture of this person. Here, obviously, this is a skin suit. I mean, look at the toupee is so bad.
I've seen them. Yeah,
it's the quest for knowledge.
Yeah.
I think Charo. After all that.
It reminds me of Men in Black.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, where they're just going around all these famous people. Oh, now you know why they're crazy, because they're an alien.
But you know, nobody, and of course, now they've been shelved as quacks, and you know, nobody drank their Kool-Aid whatsoever. But it's interesting though that these men were from decades apart. And same story about the human suits.
Right.
It was the same
keyword.
Yeah, it was the quoted phrase, human suit.
Well, it's the same thing going back to the games, right? You go back to the beginning. You just recycle. Hey, this guy had a good idea some years ago.
Yeah, he got some attention.
I always wondered when I read those stories about, you know, missing time. Hey, I know that. I was, man, was I drunk. Is that what happened? I was abducted by aliens.
A bright light came and sucked me.
That's right. You were.
Why is it that they come from wherever they come from, another part of the universe or a parallel universe, and they come here and decide, let's abduct their hillbillies in white trash and rednecks or whatever. It's always some guy.
Nobody will miss this guy.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
We'll take this guy, and then, you know, we have a lot of advanced technology, but one thing we don't really have is good medical tools. We're still like, you know, in the Middle Ages there, and we're going to have these probes we got to stick in the guy or a woman and probe and dig around. And, now let's
no
throw
body
them out.
scans or anything.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
right.
Dig into it.
They haven't figured that out yet.
Well, we'll keep you informed on all of the human suits that we see, folks. So no
Plenty
problem.
here in Vegas.
But John, again, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks,
John.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
And again, get well, Sam, if you're listening. We'll see you hopefully soon.
Hopefully next week.
Hopefully next week. But thanks to everyone listening and watching. You can catch the Pod Bay Door on the Podbean app or any of your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, and Stitcher Radio. You can watch our show on the YouTube channel at the Pod Bay Door Podcast. Please download, like, and subscribe. Our social connectivity screen is coming up. Check in with us on Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress. The Pod Bay Door is closed, and talent is out.
See you later.
Hey everybody, thank you very much for tuning into the show. We would love to hear your show suggestions and comments. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, please click to subscribe. You can also connect with us on Facebook using @PBD Podcast, on Twitter using @TPBD Podcast, and on WordPress at thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com.